Hello and welcome to Gwent. This special episode is dedicated to reveal deck archetype in Nilfgaard and in general the value of information. And I find it very interesting that they try to put a price on it. And I'm really curious what the price will be. Because currently the price feels very much, very off. It's hard to get started with this because the whole faction is really weak, the whole archetype is really weak, but the good example here is the Nilfgaardian Knight. Well, according to Gwent a little bit, many of the base bronze units have 8 strength, but the ones that actually get played have 9 or 10, and in Nilfgaard it actually becomes more of a 10-11 strength, and this Nilfgaardian Knight has an 11 strength, and reveals one of your cards. Now, if that information allows your opponent or makes your opponent play differently, for example, if you reveal a tech card, then maybe that's something that worth the point. Consider for a second that, for example, for a very simple example, you're running these instead of a 8 power guy. Then you're getting 9 power out of them. And you gotta reveal 1 card each. So, is a random reveal worth 3 points? I would say very much so, because these are very popular in every Nilfgaard deck, and not only reveal. Players completely ignore the synergy. I completely ignore the synergy of it. You just wanna have a 11 point guy and completely ignore the synergy that you cause a reveal. So how valuable is revealing stuff? If you're willing to... are you willing to lose 1 point for it? Obviously, you would never run this, because this is a little bit under the power level. But even if he was a 8 or 9 power, would players run this? Technically, it's not under the power level, because it's an 8 point is the base, and he gives up 1 point to reveal stuff, but that is just that is not enough. That is definitely not good enough, and no one ever runs this. And even in Reveal Nilfgaard, that no one ever runs, he might just get cut. And that is a really bad sign. The only 2 revealers right now in the game, maybe this is how it should start out, is the Nilfgaardian Knight and Cynthia. Nilfgaardian Knight is 11 power, reveal something, that doesn't matter. Like, almost always it doesn't matter. I can't even come up with a situation where it did matter. In the last, I don't know how many games I played. Maybe sometimes you reveal a tech card, but in a long meta, after like weeks past, people just know what the hell the other players are running, so they're probably gonna play around tech cards as well. And many of the top meta decks are very consistent, and they achieve that by running a lot of deck thinning. So you could make the argument that, oh yeah, but you kind of know their cards, but they may not have it. But they probably do, because many of the more popular meta decks tend to have at least 8 or 10 or possibly even more deck thinning. I tend to run in general on average at least 10 or 11, and that just really adds up. And the Cynthia is the other revealer. Again, doesn't reveal their cards. It just gives them a 6 power Guardian, and you get a card from your deck, which thins your deck again. Really good. For example, if you draw into a Nilfgaardian Knight, then you gain an 11 point guy, and they get a 6 point guy. So she is a 13 point difference. But if you draw into better than a bronze, then she can be better. I would say she's more like a 14 pointer. And this is the baseline I wanna set. 11 points for a bronze, 14 for a silver. That actually thins your deck. That's why I consider a 14 pointer. Now. And Emir only reveals 3 random cards in the opposing hand. The one I'm gonna compare him to is Kraken Crate, who drops 18 point worth of dudes meet on the first row that are actually synergized with Wounding and Warcry. And is revealing 3 random cards worth like 6 points each? Because that is kind of what we're talking about. Because Kraken Crate drops 16 strength, plus it has some kind of synergy, so let's just add a few points on the top of that. And what the hell? Is this really worth 18 points? Because I'm not convinced. Even if it revealed, I'm just gonna make this argument, let's just ignore the synergies for now. Even if it revealed your opponent's whole hand, would it worth it? Because you're kinda like losing at least a gold card. You know their entire hand, but you have one less card to beat them with. And they probably gotta beat you for it. And this is kind of a problem. Like, value of information, how valuable it is. But now the other problem with it is it's random. So, if you, for example, try to fish for the opponent's cards, and you reveal cards that you know for a fact that he has, then your action, the price you paid for reveal, was worthless. If you reveal a tech card that changes your play, then yes, reveal maybe could have worth it. Who knows? Actually, you should play around the widest possible situations if you can. But if you see some tech cards, but if it doesn't change your play or you can avoid your fate, then reveal is kind of pointless. I would say revealing 3 cards is flat out the worst hero in the game, worst faction leader in the game by far. I would not even consider him a joke. I'm like, if you want to run a reveal Nilfgaard that you really shouldn't, you should just run it with more of them. But, you know, okay, Emir is complete garbage, but let's just ignore it. We saw 2 good units here. I mean, like 11 points for a bronze and 14 points for a silver. That's pretty good. Wow, a reveal Nilfgaard is really happening, isn't it? Well, Spotter. It's locked to range row now. It actually used to be agile. While in your hand, deck, or on the battlefield, gain 1 strength wherever a card in either player's hand is revealed. So, it needs to... You need to at least reveal 7 cards. And you have 4 good revealers. 7 cards to make him as good as a knight. A knight is just an okay guy. You can get more value from some bronzes. For example, the Nausicaa Brigade can hit for 14 in some situations. But... And he's buffed up. He's buff based. He's locked to 1 row. All the spotters gonna have the same strength. And he's buff based. Buff can be removed. And same strength can be ridiculously punished by burn effects. And they all lock to the same row. So they can get dispelled at once, debombed at once, and they can get burned at once. And while Knight might avoid getting burned with its 11 power, if you really get this up high, like 13, 14, 15, these will get burned and you will lose the game on the spot. Of course, your deck is a lot weaker. You don't have to worry about your spotters getting burned. You're gonna lose way before that. So, Mangonos. Now, look at this. 6 power, remove 2 strength from a random opposing non-gold unit wherever a card in either hand is revealed. So we're gonna ignore the crappy revealers like Alchemist. Complete garbage. But let's say you're running this with the Knights. It's a 6 power guy. And obviously it needs to stick around for at least 3 rounds. Because you're gonna get at least 3 turns of value from it, 3 fires from it, in order to justify its risk. Because if you can just drop down an 11 power guy, why would you drop this guy down who can just get lasered right away? Also standard, and it may not give you the value you're looking for. And all those revealers you run is just not gonna worth it. So, in order for this to worth it, in order for this to be considered like break even, like let's say the most ideal scenario, you place a Mongonal and another Mongonal and another Mongonal, you have that all in your opening hand. Completely ridiculous. And you place a knight and a knight and a knight. And now these actually provided enough value to justify their place in the deck. They provided 12. But they all needed to survive for a long time. It is just completely unrealistic. But that's not what usually happens, because most of the revealers are just complete garbage. Like Alchemist, like this guy is weak. This guy is like 4 points under the knight. And this is 5 points under the knight, but situational ability, and that only really works out if it sticks on the board. So if you combine these, this is not a great combo. This is weak and this is weak. You can place these all day long. They're not gonna add up to good. That's the problem. Vanhamar is just it's just like a spotter. It just feels really uninspired. So you can just place it in the back row. I mean, literally the only difference is that it's on the siege row and he has 4 higher base strength. That is all. Again, very vulnerable to bird effects, very vulnerable to buff removal. It is just completely like hopeless. And if even if you're running against a very, very passive deck that doesn't disrupt you, I have no idea how, you can bet your butt that they will put more points out than you can ever hope to gather. Because if they are that passive, then they have some greedy value coming up. And Serit, again, another interaction with revealers. Again, these revealers are good. These revealers are complete garbage. And this is another revealer. We're just gonna talk about that. Choose an opposing unit and remove 1 strength from it. 1 from its strength for each revealed unit in both players' hands. Now we really have to see this. How many guys we need to reveal to make this spotter break even? So in order to the Mangonel to break even, we would need to reveal 3 cards, preferably with something that doesn't suck on its own. So if I use these to reveal 3 cards, Mangonel is okay, but it would need to hit average 3 reveals with cards that are actually good on their own. So what about the spotters? Well, you would need to hit average 7, but to get green strength up, but I would argue you would need to hit at least average 9 to be a 13 pointer to maybe even worth adding to the deck. If you had this guy, well, in the Nilfgaard, in the Nilfgaard you have a lot of stuff that has a high base strength. But if you had a guy that only had like buff strength, for example, if he was a 1 power guy that had 11 strength on it, and he was a 12 strength guy, would you use him over the knight? It would be okay, but if he gets debombed, I'm like, he's dead. I know the debomb is not really used in this meta, but of course, for the fuss of using it, I'm just saying that there's not enough good revealers available. But we're gonna look into it. Vanhamar, again, same thing. You need to reveal like 7 at least. 7 would put it at 15, and this is a 14. So we are talking at least 7 or 8 to maybe, in a maybe range. But if it gets like too big, like these would, I would say these need 9. These need 9 to make it worth the risk. But 9 good revealers, not alchemist. And what about Seret? Choose an opposing non-god unit and remove 1 strength from it. 1 strength from it for each revealed card. Actually, this is not so bad. This needs less reveals because unlike big buffs, doing damage is more reliable. You're not just like putting out like 13-point spotters on the same row. That is just ridiculous. It's just asking for trouble and asking to lose the game on the spot. But with Seret, for example, if you like reveal 5 cards, and he's kind of crap, but he's a 13-pointer. If you reveal 6 cards, I would say he's okay. You can run him. If you play him with average 6 revealed cards. But unlike the other ones, like these gain value for every revealed card that ever happened. This only gains value for every currently revealed card. So it is complete garbage, as you well guessed it. So these are complete garbage. Mr. Emir is complete garbage. Mangono is complete garbage, let's say Albric. So Albric makes you and your opponent draw a card if your opponent has not yet passed. Now he has an extra use in some kind of mill Nilfgaard, but I'm gonna talk about that too. Just quickly mention it. So Albric, well, your opponent draws a card and reveals it, but he's a 9-pointer, and unlike Cynthia, that gives your opponent a garbage 6 power useless guy, he gives him a proper card, like you're getting a proper card. So you're just playing a weak silver that has like 5 points lower than an actual silver that you would include in your deck, just to make sure like both of you get a reveal, like you see a reveal. So do you pay 5 power for a reveal? Fucking hell no. It's garbage. He's some play in some kind of mill Nilfgaard, but I'm gonna mention the mill Nilfgaard and rip it a new one. Take our Egebracht. If your opponent has not passed, gain 15 base strength, then your opponent draws the top bronze from their deck and reveals it. When removed, set base strength to 7, even when locked. So, if your opponent passed, he's a 7 strength gold. If your opponent has not passed, he's a 22 strength gold, and your opponent gains a bronze card. And reveals it. And obviously, neither of those situations worth it. If your opponent gets a bronze card, he's definitely gonna beat you for points, and getting a card draw is just ridiculously important. Even if you're playing him last round, he's probably can match your power with that bronze. And we can just say that, oh yeah, but Geralt is like 12 point. He's like 10 point over that, and for that 10 point he gets your opponent the bronze card. Maybe acting last doesn't really matter, and your opponents just need to match your 10 strength with a bronze card. Which is not really hard to do, by the way. But getting a card advantage is usually a lot more valuable. But we can look at it like this way, because Mr. Vilgefortz over here, actually an interesting interaction with Roach. For example, you can just burn down Roach, and let's just say you get out Nilfgaardian Knight. Then he's a 19-point gold card. Or maybe we get Cynthia. And what we learned about Cynthia, that she's at least 13 or 14 strength. I value her 14. So Mr. Vilgefortz over here is a 22, and this is a 22. And if your opponent doesn't have a bronze card in hand, in deck actually, then he's not drawing your opponent a bronze card. So that is the ideal scenario, but just running garbage to try to achieve that is just not gonna work out. And he can only be played late, and Vilgefortz actually thins your deck. I'm not even sure how this guy can even be considered. he only punishes like very, very greedy thinning, but he's a bit of a gamble. Don't get me wrong, 22 is not too bad. If you can drop him as a 22 gold, it would be great. Like, that's pretty good, but you can't really guarantee that. I'm pretty sure that even if Geralt had like a 15 strength, I'm not even sure if he would get played. Because maybe that's not good enough. So these are just revealers, but he only reveals if your opponent has not passed, and if he reveals, he's complete garbage. Again, River Cohorts only reveals if you target your opponent on their side, it destroys that unit, and they draw a card and reveal it. Well, that's okay if you like kill like a ridiculously big guy, like a 13-pointer, but usually you don't want to draw them a card. I mean, it's good as an alternative use. Usually you want to burn something useless on your side, like a Vicovaro Medic or a Roach. I'm going to go with this guy, but I'm definitely gonna mention him. And Ka here simply allows your hero power to be used again, and your opponent draws a bronze card and reveals it. Again, amazing interaction. If your opponent, maybe amazing is not the word, maybe broken is the word for that. If your opponent doesn't have a bronze card, then you're just gonna get a card advantage, which is your hero power, which is worth like a gold. Kind of the same thing that Tibor tries to do, but he's actually very good, even without the added thing. Because, for example, you draw into a... Well, you can just select something. Like, for example, you just fish for a Vega Force. Again, that's a lot better than just a bronze card. And it's gonna be a lot of advantage with that. And last but definitely not least, Vatio the Rideaux, or whatever his name is. He actually got buffed from 7 to 8, which is a total joke. He reveals 2 cards in your hand, and for every card reveals 1 card in your opponent's hand. Well, it is 100% obvious that he's just a total wimp. 8 points, and he's not even giving you information advantage. He's just causing reveals, much like the Nilfgaardian Knight, but he doesn't lift like hell. I mean, if he just revealed if he revealed your whole hand, and he was like a 60-pointer gold for that, I'm like, it would be the best card of all time. No one cares about like showing their hand. That's the problem. The value of information is very delicate. And revealing random cards is just probably gonna be worthless. And Emir is just hopelessly bad. Most of the reveal set, like other than these cards, that reveal your own card or reveal a card that you already know that she's gonna draw, the Guardian. Honestly, well, it doesn't really matter that it's revealed, the Guardian is revealed, like you know that the Guardian is drawn. So these are the only cards that are good in the reveal set. This is good, but not for the reveals. This is used on your side. And this is also used, but not for the reveals. This is good just on its own. And as much as it pains me to say it, I definitely want to see the reveal style just be great. I mean, if they could make it work, I want to see that. But these are very unoriginal, I mean, just uninspired, and weak, and liable just getting removed. This is just very awkward to use. This is even is something you cut, even as a reveal Nilfgaard, because sometimes you might just not have reveals. These are only dependent on the fact that you revealed at one point. And Mango Nose are only really good early on, perhaps. But these can get easily removed or locked, or you might not even have them. Of course, there's some another card worth mentioning, the Emissary, that can maybe help you draw into these crucial cards early on. But again, what you gonna use to do the reveals? If you combine these two, I mean, like, it's not worth it. If you drop 3 of these, then these are gonna be break even, but these still suck. So that's kind of the problem. Of course you can drop Vetier and this could be great. But again, we talked about that Wilgefortz is just a ridiculous gold, and he's just a wimpy gold. Anything over 3 would be credited to Vetier. So if you, for example, drop 3 Mangonos, and you drop the Vetier, and you don't care about what you're revealing or whatever, and like you drop that, you get over 3, then Vetier suddenly would get to a 14 point gold, but that's still like whatever. And we're talking about 3 Mangonos here. So he has a good interaction with the Mangonos. Can gain some strength for doing that, but if you are talking about like you're playing him along like 2 Mangonos, then again he's just a Geralt. Because the Mangonos need to shoot at least, in my opinion, 3 times to make it worth it. Because why would you include that card when you can include this? Of course you can include both of them. But unless these shoot average 3 times, there's nothing to talk about here. And yeah, that's kind of the problem. So, I don't know. Rivian Nilfgaard, you look kind of weak. To say the least. And I 100% get that. I mean, like, the devs don't want to overdo it. And they're just fishing. They're just experimenting. They're just like, okay, we're just gonna throw this in. Like, kind of like how I feel about the prize-winning cow. They're just testing. How good is Death Rattle effect? Like, they're sticking on the board. Like, how good is Resilience effect? They're just putting all these interesting effects in the game and seeing how it works out. Like, do the players bite on it? Is it really awesome? But they don't want to break the game. They just sneak it into the game. Like, okay, how about this? And it's fairly obvious that revealing your own shit and revealing is irrelevant, and revealing your opponent's stuff is completely irrelevant as well. And you definitely don't want to pay stats for that. And yeah, that's kind of a problem. I mean, like, if this was a 10-pointer, it would still be popular. If this was a 9-pointer, I'm pretty sure that players would still use it. Maybe not as much, but even as a 9-pointer, I would probably see players use it. And currently, if this got buffed up to a 9-point, it would not get used. It would be still garbage. If this was a 10-pointer, I don't know. Maybe. I could see it getting used as a 10-pointer. Maybe a 9-pointer. But definitely not as 8-point. So, and this is the problem. Like, the units that synergize from reveals and the units that cause the reveals are both weak. These are the units that cause the reveals that are not weak. And they kinda work well with the units that synergize with reveals, and this is the only unit that synergizes well with reveals. These are total garbage, unfortunately. But could you really get away with it? Could you just run 3 Nilfgaardian Knights, Cynthia, and the Vatier as a reveal deck and completely cut the spotters and without Emir? Would it really worth it? The answer to that is no. I mean, why would you bother with it? You can just run Rot Tussers, you can run Vicovaro Medics, you can run other awesome cards, and you just completely ignore the reveal aspect of the game because it is simply not worth it. Because even this guy that I kind of like mentioned that just causes a lot of reveals fast, he reveals 2 of your cards and 2 of your opponent's card, and that's not a net information game. Of course you choose your own cards, but your opponent's cards you just get selected randomly. I mean, I just get irrelevant information. Unless you get a tech card, but unless you have the tools to play around it, there's nothing you can do with their cards. Just because it got revealed, like, who cares? It doesn't matter. That's the thing. So, how valuable is reveal? Is there a really pimp Nilfgaard deck out there with reveals that is just ducking me all the time in the top 100, but secretly dominating the meta? I don't think so. Anyway, guys, that's it. Hope you had fun. Tell me what you think. And see you around.